Do, 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 do. I don't answer if you know, but I'm really interested to know if Kim could have died in the shootout from me not warning him in time. And if I would have had to go through all of this by myself. It's a very interesting thought. Which thought's giving me XP? I'm getting a bunch from what's the one that gives me 10 experience every time I make a every time conceptualization every time I succeed at a passive on it, which is like all the time. Oh, and Wompty Doo is too? Wompty 2 is also giving it to me for encyclopedia passives. Yeah. Dark brown viscous fluid pours out and the room fills with a chemical smell. There's a red starter switch on the cylinder. Bloop. The recoil start wakes the old generator up. The machine sputters like an old war horse before settling down to a rattle. That should do it. I should also... I have one bullet. It is... right hand. It is quite possible that we will encounter... Like, now that we found their hideout, the shooter could be here on the island. Done. Emergency open. Just slide this radio dial. The dial slides under the dusty glass, dark and silent despite the power being on. You make out defunct stations on the UKV frequency. The words Feld Insular, oh no, it says Feld Playback, are written on the band. An idea lights up in your head. Maybe we could contact Suna, the programmer? Ah, this is an air-gapped system. Off-air, I think they call it. That won't work. Are you sure? No, I'm not. But it would not be very good radio military technology if programmer ladies could control it remotely. Also, it's ancient, incompatible. The blast door opens. With a series of clicks, a shaft of light appears, then widens as the light shines in. If you make up stuff... I think you're fine. Yeah, sure.
I can't do it if you're watching. If
Blindo!
Just turn around.
Blindu.
Alright. Can't do it if you're leering at me. It's creepy.
How have you been? After you. What if we get into another fight? Don't worry. He takes out his sidearm, checks the barrel, then holsters it again. I have a gun. I also have a gun. I know. It was not easy to acquire. We are perhaps at the very end of Disco Elysium. There's probably still a lot that's going to happen, but I feel like we're finishing it today. I feel. Well, I think there's a difference between made-up spoilers and somebody... Oh, what's that? Small white flowers blossom all around you. This is it. We're at the end of Metal Gear Solid 3. This is where we fight the boss. Well, hello there, fireman with your rifle. Can I shoot him right now? Can I get drunk? I'm gonna get drunk. I'm gonna get drunk. I'm not gonna get drunk. I could drink this. No, I can't. It's not an option. Right, yeah. Because there's other pretty much everyone here I trust. Castor Meridianum the last 3 times in a row. Well, people, it depends on which one you want, right? If you're doing MSQ roulette because you want poetics, then you want Castrum. And if you're doing it because you want experience, then you want Praetorium. Because Praetorium gives way more experience in the roulette. But only takes like 10 more minutes. An old man wearing tracksuit trousers leans on the frame stock of his rifle. He gathers a big ball of spit in his mouth, then spits it out into the extinguished fire before him. He raises his black eyes, hooded by creased eyelids, to meet yours. Unclouded by cataract, his eyesight is sharp. Nice gun you got there.
It's a piece of shit. Gets the job done.
Is that a Bell
It's a
McGrave?
Trigon 446.
Southeast Samaran made. Exotic. Must be defunct too. No modern rifle manufacturer of that name springs to
A
mind.
Samaran rifle? How did you get hold of one?
Praetorium is a bit more boring. You kind of need YouTube on another tab if you're going to do that.
By our brothers in the Xinyao commune. Military aid.
The Xinyao commune?
You heard me. It's good now. Like chalk wiped from a board.
This option is only here because I actually did equip my gun before walking up to him. Your weapon has stayed true to you. Mine has stayed true to me too. And it's true, I've only fired it once this game, and it did not miss.
Yes, I bet you killed a lot of people with it. You fascist fuck. Have you come to make me one of them?
His grip on the rifle tightens. His right eye twitches with what? Fear? Rage?
We have come to ask you questions, nothing more. If you do not comply, we will take you in. Do you understand?
I don't think he's gonna put the gun down. We can talk. We can just talk. I'm with the police. You can keep the gun, keep it down. Not one move.
No.
Oh. Well, alright. Kim disagrees. Aims his pistol square at the man's
Put
head.
it down
and says,
now, sir.
Or you're going to blow my brains out before you question me. To hell with it. It's a walking stick anyway. It's out of bullets.
The old man lays the rifle down carelessly, then looks at it lying there. Like an amputated limb in the sand. He stares on, his wrinkled mouth moving without a sound, a strange sadness like a song. Pulls the hood of his plastic cape and looks up into the sky. The what? I could pick up the gun. Yeah, I'll pick it up. His gaze follows your motions. The rifle feels surprisingly light in your hand, frame-stocked and patched in places with tape and wire. Still warm from his parched hands. Not the metal. The metal is ice cold. This weapon has been modified several times. The rifle's in a shabby state, like a crutch that's seen too much travel. Hieroglyphs are embossed into the forearm, made of walnut. On the butt you see Vespertine writing, burnt into the wood. Trangong 446mm, made in Xinyao. patched and modified several times. I wonder how old it is. The old man does not answer. He just stares in front of him. This uses jacketed ammunition. 446. The right type and the right caliber. No one said it has to be a Belmagrave. We were just guessing. From ballistics, it could easily have been a Triangong too. It doesn't matter if it was made in Shtani. All it has to do is use jacketed ammunition, and it does. The old man keeps following your motions with his gaze. His right arm twitches. Suddenly twitches. Some kind of involuntary response? Something is slightly off with this Motorix. This looked very much like the murder weapon. It can be used against him to get a confession. In time. The future teaches you. Real music. It's Revicholerie, you shit-licking bougie dog. Chanson des Soldats of the Blacks and Whites. What is La Revicholerie? It is the anthem of the world revolution. His eyes remain fixed on the sky, one of three. In Grad, they sang Brave Children, Favorites of History, and in Sinhao, it was... He struggles to remember, then gives up. Some Samaran shit, I guess. How does it go? The song. Nojia, hello! How did it go? He looks at his gun in your hand and shakes his head slowly. Something about shooting rabbits, I don't know. I can't remember. It doesn't matter. It's gone now. He waves erratically with his hand, annoyed that he can't remember. A little tremor passes through him. Who are you? My name? He looks across the water, then back at you. Is Yosef Lilianovich Dros, political commissar of the 114th Anti-Aircraft Division of the 4th Army of the Commune of Revachol. Lilianovich makes me think of that, and then Hitan never thought of anything ever again. The moth joke. What's the guy's name? I can see him. I'm not looking at chat because I'm going to remember his name before I open my eyes. Or die. I'll remember his name or die. Freaking... He's my favorite comedian. Nate Walker. God. This is it. This is the rest of the stream. Get ready. Buckle up. It's the guy who used to do, on SNL. He was the news guy. He's very funny. Did the roast of Bob Saget. I know everything he's ever done, and I can't think of his name. It's terrible. I'm a terrible person. My morale is dropping one hit point at a time, and then I will have a heart attack on stream. I failed. He tells a... like... No, he... Okay. terrible. I guess nobody's ever said his name in their lives. It's on his driver's license, but nobody ever calls him that. No, it's terrible. Norm Macdonald. I go to my browser and I type in moth joke and it suggests moth joke Norm. And I'm like, why? He goes by the guy that used to be on SNL. I don't know why Norm Macdonald was so difficult. But I think of it when I see this name, because when he's telling the moth joke, he's like, my son, Gregory Ilinilovich, he no longer loves me. No. In the joke, it's this really long joke where he's like, so a moth goes into a podiatrist's office and says, Doc, I really need help. He's like, and he goes on this like really long and depressing rant about how the moth, like his wife and his family no longer love him and he wants to kill himself, and his like where he works, he's like, I know that this man, you know, he only cares about having power over, and all of this stuff. And then at the end of the joke, which takes like 10 minutes to tell, and he's like, but I'm a podiatrist. Why did you come into my office? He's like, you really need a psychiatrist. What are you doing in my office? He's like, well, Doc, the light was on. Like, he's a moth. Get it? But in the joke, like when he a couple of times makes up somebody's name, and he makes it like one of these weird, not weird, I'm sorry, it's insensitive. One of these, like, is it Russian? It must be, I guess. Anyway, he is a deserter. I am a deserter, a partisan, and a prisoner of war. This is my termless surrender. His eyes turn to the reeds again, dead and dull. The commune of Revachol. Do you mean the ICM? You're a holdover from the Insulindian Citizens Militia, the army of the revolution. I was recruited in Jamrock in 07, trained in the École de Contrôle Aérien, and consigned to emergency defense duties in 08. I left my unit on the eve of the landing. When I returned here on May 14th, the commune had fallen. Still armed and ideologically trained, I wrote a criticism of myself and resumed partisan duties. You've been on this island for 43 years? No. I've been on the other islands, too. I was on Resurrection until they turned it into a spa in 18. Then I was on E48, a nameless sound, until the sea washed over it. Then I came back here. That was 22 years ago. You said you deserted your unit. I was just 16 years old. I was just 16 years old, 15 when I volunteered. I had a lapse of faith. And courage, too. Lapse of faith. You could say I misunderstood the historic role of the proletariat and thought Mazovian socioeconomics were infallible. For a second, I doubted the irreducible laws of historic materialism. A second is all it took. For what? For reaction to take hold. What's reaction? Petty bourgeoisie terror. It's in all men. When was this? May the 13th, 08. 44 years ago. He looks north. The horizon was black with coalition airships. Their petroleum rose to the sky, and it looked like it formed the clouds. Storm clouds. When they started shelling, it was dark magic. Dark magic. The combined might of international capital, all at once, all the greed and terror in the world, tore into Revachol. It lifted streets from the ground and turned houses into ghosts. We were in the flak tower, huddled on the floor. The artillery was 80 kilometers away in Ozon, but I knew the commune would fall. We would all be turned into ash. So I said I was going to the map room. What then? I ran. I climbed the chain link across the water and hid inland, in the bunkers underground, like the weakest of the weak, a mouse, frightened of the ordnance all night and the sound of the rotors in the morning, whirring. He looks at the sky. What was that? Airships. I climbed out into hell. The landing was complete. The chain was submerged. I had to swim back. The fortress was half submerged, too, shattered. They had all drowned in the lower levels or gotten torn to shreds above. The anti-aircraft gun had malfunctioned. So had I. I left them without ideological direction. He opens his eyes and stares right through you. It was real. I'd seen it. I'd seen it in reality. Seen what? The mask of humanity fall from Capital. It has to take it off to kill everyone. Everything you love, all the hope and tenderness in the world, it has to take it off just for 1 second to do the deed. And then you see it as it strangles and beats your friends to death, the sweetest, most courageous people in the world. You see the fear and power in its eyes, and then you know that the bourgeoisie are not human. I had to. I had to fight it. I had to never stop. The old man falls silent. His black eyes keep piercing your skin as he looks to some great distance behind you, shaking his head slowly, retreating from it. You said this is your termless surrender. You're with the RCM, the coalition-appointed mob that enforces bourgeoisie morals in Revachol. That's right. We're with the good guys. Murderers. He stares at the embers, then into your eyes. You're the RCM. You represent the Moralist International, the enemies of humanity who took this city. I represent their adversary, Le Parti Communiste d'Insulindi. Take me to them as a prisoner of war. I have relinquished my weapon. I can no longer serve. No superiors can relieve me of my duty. You bulldozed them all to a mass grave for trying to free humanity. His hand shakes and he breaks into a coughing fit. Spray of blood from his mouth on the black charcoal in the fire pit. Rene, the royalist on the coast, said, The Communards signed the Revacholian Instrument of Surrender. Liberal reactionaries signed that instrument, traitors who should have been burned alive. I answered to the Communist Party. Is that part of why you've been here all this time? Because the party didn't surrender? That's insane. You're insane. Your mom's insane. Radio shows, speed racing, sporting goods. None of it is real. So you're a communist soldier from the Communist Army. No, I am not a soldier. I am an ideological officer. I belong to the party, not the army. You said you were trained and assigned to the Defense Corps. Trained in historical materialism, then assigned as a political commissar by the party. These things used to mean something. What does a political commissar do? The old man does not answer. He tilts his silver head and looks at the reeds. You see a small tremor pass through his legs. His job was to assure the army answers to civilian control and follows the ideology of the commune. Scientific communism. The tracksuit-clad old man is suddenly reanimated. A commissaire politique is a knight philosopher of the revolution, a future human. This means you're a trained communist. I'm a moralist. No, you're not. You're part of the meat shield. The human shield that surrounds the fascists while they kill and rape. That's what you are. Detective, we have not come here to discuss ideology. We have come to ask questions regarding a murder investigation. The old man spits into the fire pit. He does not say anything more. A jitter passes his lower body. The expression on his face is unreadable. There's some sort of interference there. Neurological? And you've been hiding here for 43 years? 43 years and 10 months. Is that the length of my life? I forget. Where's my date of birth? You are 44 years old. It is pretty much. It's too long. It's not how a human being should live, but I couldn't just forget what I saw. What have you been doing during all this time? Hiding, fishing, waiting. He looks across the water, where it's morning. On Rue de Saint-Ghislain, people are walking. The gas streetlights have already been switched off. Further inland in Jamrock, the streets come alive with workers, men, women, children rushing, muddy avenue after muddy avenue. The temperature is rising. Altocumulus clouds form above Precinct 41. I feel like I would have liked to have raised Shivers some more this playthrough. A lot of the things that Shivers comes up with are neat. That it's sort of the non-police equivalent of a Spirit Decor. Esprit? There's only one I in there. It's actually Esprit Decor. I'm sorry. 2 police officers step out of the Whirling in Rags cafeteria. Satellite officer Jean Vicmer inspects giant letters across the plaza mosaic in dark red government-marked heavy fuel oil. I forgot to light them on fire. Patrol officer Judith Minot points west. The fishing village. We meet in 15 minutes. It's a 10-minute walk. Which tea? All of them? All of the teas. The officers go, leaving behind the writing, still smelling of petroleum. One day, it says, I will return to your side. Always waiting. For what? For her to return. Her who? Girl Child Revolution. I can assure you that is not what the people are planning. I am not a fool. I know. The material base for an uprising has eroded. The working class has betrayed mankind. The historic opportunity for a revolution has passed. It will not come back anymore, however hard I try, whatever I do. I have another serious question for you. There's nothing serious in this world. What have you been using this gun for? I've used it for killing people. Killing people? It's a gun. That's what they're for. You want a moralist euphemism? Defending your family and your property? I haven't done that. I've used it to kill people. Interesting. During or after the war? There is no after the war. Class war is never over. So he's continued killing after hostilities ended. Okay. This is it. You can feel it like battery acid on the tip of your tongue, something you haven't felt in a while, but what? This is what you live for. This is the shit. The great serotonin jackpot. The solution. Go in straight. No euphemisms. He doesn't like those. No. Be careful now. Slow and steady does it. Make him repeat it first. Oh my god. Everybody has... everybody has an opinion on what I should do now. He wants to tell you. Get personal. Which one do I say then? Nothing comes to you. Silence. His black eyes look at you. And in them a chill, like electricity running up your spine, crawling into your skull. All is not as it seems. Thank you, Shivers. What's going on here? So you're saying that you killed people after active fighting stopped? What did I just say? He keeps shaking his head erratically, suddenly. He brushes something out of his eye. What did I just tell you? Don't drop the ball now. Did you use that gun to shoot and kill a colonel of the security contractor, Krenel? The who now? He leans in and cups his ear. He heard you. He just wants to hear you say it. You're in. A beautiful, strong man sent here by the honorable private military. Just get him good and upset. Oh, wait. So that T is Esprit? Esprit de Corps? Interesting. I'll say his name. His name was Ellis Courtner. He was part of a security detail here in Martinez. Oh, yes, that one. Ugly piece of work, that boy. Did you kill him? I am a son of a welder and an officer of the commune of Revachol. He spits a big one at the lieutenant's feet. I do not collaborate with murderers and pederasts of the liberal regime. A drop of blood in the saliva. Exhaust him with proof. Pile it all on him. Get a confession. The gun. The murder weapon is the perfect opener. Scent of blood in the air, but what else? There was something you can't remember. Something about the tracks? Suddenly all those tracks are so confusing. Go with something else first. What? Hit myself on the side of the head. Oh, that's very interesting. That's a deep cut. Way back in the day, I did talk to the dead man in my imagination, and he told me communism killed him. I don't need your cooperation. I've got this. Not a lot of guns around that use military grade ammunition, are there? Serpy. His real name is Serpy. Serpy Decor. It's a real gun. It's a real gun. He points to your side. Not like your little musketeer pistol. I've seen you prance about with that, jumping hoops for the liberals. You look like imbeciles. Why don't you ask them to give you real weapons? Going against automatic rifles with these toy guns. Of course you got those boys killed. Damn, he saw you. He's watched it happen. He would have a good view of the tribunal from here. It's not just empty boasting. So he saw you. So what? Don't let it divert you. We have the murder weapon. You know what? You're right. I'm convinced this made the shot. Should we call it? You think we have the murder weapon? 4.46 jacketed ammunition modified for ranged. We have it. This is it. Good. Takes out his notebook and draws a single line. This feels good, doesn't it? Tying things up like this. When you have the murder weapon, you have the killer. Murder. The old man does not say more. He just glances into the reeds, then twitches once more. We've done the ballistics. The shot came from this island. I saw you poking around there, looking for evidence. You're damn diligent when it comes to dead fasces? Did you like the view? You had direct visibility. There are embrasures in the concrete, specifically meant for a top-faller to use, and you had a long-range rifle in your possession. You've been here a long time, Mr. Dross. Too long. You need medical aid. I'm ready to die. I've done my part. He's practically admitted to it. Dead fasces for fascist. Done his part. Because it's a sniper's nest, you stupid fuck. Radio Gauche is in sight. Radio Gauche is right. You have worms in your brain. Can we do this again and say the other thing? The fascist? You're sad for your Frasha brother, aren't you? One twig got broken, now the others are sad. I'll hit myself on the side of the head. Wait, here it comes. The goddamn Maybells! The dried Maybells on Classy's roof. Oh, yes. There were Maybells in the grass when you got here. The revolutionary symbols from the war. Nowhere else, nowhere in all of Martinez have you seen them this spring. Wait, don't forget the footprints. The diagonal prints in the dust, in the secret space, behind Classier's bedroom. Now they're going to come up. Thank you, Head. Thank you. Remember, the boot prints were like no modern soul. I wonder what brand of boots you're wearing. Everything is brands with you individualists. Who cares what brand my shoes are? Sansa, some shit. Show me the soles, please, Mr. Dross. Fucking imbecile. The old man stretches out his leg. A black and white spiral pattern covers the sole of the worn-out old running shoes on his feet. The maker is Sansarique, and the size is 42-44. These are not the unusual horizontal patterned soles you saw in the dust of the hidden room. They do, however, seem to be about the same size. The size fits, but not the sole. No! This is another loose thread you will never connect. Footprints everywhere. I hate them. What are you doing? He's thinking. We almost got him here. Not now. Stop yourself. People change shoes, detective. It was you. You were there, weren't you? Crawling and the whirling in rags. What were you doing? Some kind of reconnaissance? Preparing the scene? Listening in on her? Trying to rack your brains. He squints at him, eyes gleaming with hatred. You're desperate to report something back to your masters. They must have really loved that dead fuck. The old man stares at his own prints in the ash around the fire, suddenly silent, some strange process within him. A gush of wind, seagulls in the distance. There were Maybells behind the victim's window. Damn Maybells. The whole island is turning white with them. So many this year, too. The spring is coming. No, it's already here. Wash the filth away. I haven't seen these flowers anywhere else in Martinique. Only here. They blossom on the islets before. We fertilize them with our blood. Resurrection was snow white in May before they ruined it. South, the Bay of Martinique is dotted with little freckles of islets, turning green with white flowers and white snow. The coast, too, before they piled their containers on top of it, filled with broken, useless trash for fat-fingered bourgeoisie children to play with. You must get around a lot to stay undetected all these years. Do you know any secret paths? Pinball workshops? I may. A young woman called Classier. Ring any bells? These dried flowers were behind her window. Classier. He knows her, but he hadn't heard the name. You hadn't heard her name. My ears don't reach the city. You know her, right? She had intimate relations with the victim, the mercenary. With the victim. He turns his sight from the whitening field of flowers and stays silent. Then the muscles in his jaw twitch, a spasm. There is a small tremble, looks like a smile, a crooked smile, yet isn't quite voluntary. He's about to burst. He suddenly jerks to life. You know who he was, a coalition-trained murderer, armored and armed. He wasn't human, the blunt end of a hammer, dripping with blood. He was a soldier, too. He was a man. Beating us to the ground, moaning with joy, he breathes in strange animation. You hounds get so thorough when a company-trained killer dies. I haven't seen you on this coast for 40 years. You know, maybe I should have killed one sooner. Got your attention. He looks you dead in the eyes, pupil shaking. Now you stop beating druggies and prostitutes in your basement. Now you come investigate, not when they die by the hundreds. He breathes through flared nostrils. This is it. Shot him. Shot him. Say shot him, not killed him. So you shot him? Oh, the inhumanity. He closes his black eyes. One paramilitary less in Revachol. You can almost see him squeeze a tear out of his eye. His fists begin to tremble from the anger. The lieutenant raises his right arm to hush you. Hush, he does not need to be pushed anymore. The ball is rolling. While the lieutenant... Should I mess it up anyway? I could mess it up. How did you? I had them in my sights, both of them, him and the whore. I was breathing with them in phase, and I pulled the trigger and flew on the air until I landed in his mouth. I didn't think I had a shot like that in me anymore. I did. I saw him kneel there with his mouth full of death and that stupid look on his face, with his dick still in her. Then what? Nothing. I went to sleep. Next morning there were Maybells everywhere. The world was white, or what's left of it anyway. My last spring here, I knew the fascists would come to avenge their own, and so they did. The lieutenant just looks at him for 1, maybe 2 seconds, and then breaks the silence. Mr. Dross, are you aware you're confessing to murder? Yes. A single word is all he gives. The lieutenant takes out his notebook slowly, very slowly, and you were looking at them. The victim and a young woman having sex through the scope of your rifle that night before you shot him? The old man nods. Why? Because that's what they were doing. The motive! This is where the motive is going to come from. I don't understand. Do you, detective? I don't understand this part. Why were you looking at them that night? I'm always looking. He cocks his head to the side, then turns his eyes to the city. Another tremor passes his right side, lower in intensity. Are you always looking through the scope of a rifle? I'm just trying to understand. No, but we know that Classier... No, Classier arranged this. This wasn't like he just, I was just scoping around the city and saw some people, so I shot them. A rifle scope has the best magnification, and if you don't like it, you pull the trigger. Yes, think of it as a form of critique. He will not stop now. These dialectical materialist types never do. Exploit it. Connect every little piece now. Wrap this up like a gift. What did you not like? I didn't like that. You're jealous? Jealousy is a reactionary concept. I didn't like the Reaver enjoying himself, drugged out, soothed in the arms of a young woman. I wanted him to die so he could not enjoy life anymore. For him to stop reacting to stimuli, to be broken off from the world, cordoned into darkness. And I wanted her to see his head explode. That too. She should know better than to hold a child murderer between her thighs. I knew he'd be there for 1 more second, writhing. That's all it takes for the bullet to reach his head. Now that I think of it, I wasn't aiming for his mouth. I wanted his brains to spill out on her, but you can't have everything. This man has seen her pass. This man has seen past her, like you did. The caliber of bullet he used does not do that kind of damage. How long had you been watching her? Since she came to Martinez. I saw her sneaking in the reeds early in the morning, behind the Feld building. It was dark, still winter. She didn't have her skimpy outfit on then, just a spot in the night, moving. What was she doing? Hiding something in the water. She'd had a fag after she was done with it. After she'd done it. I was up in the ruins there. She couldn't see me, but I could see her, smoking. She was nervous, but not scared. Why do you think she hid it there? Her passport. Or what do you think she hid there? Her passport. The tickets to Villiers. And from there to Casherbroom? In the free state of Seminine, hidden away in the edge of the earth near the Pale. Oh, he went and took her documents after she was gone. Did you keep what was in it? When we found the submersible, it was empty. No, why would I do that? I didn't need tickets to Villiers. I put them back. If I wanted to extort someone, I'd do better. This implies he's thought about extorting her. Also, a little inconsistency here. He was surprised to hear her name before. Would he not have seen... Oh, no. She had a different name on there, right? Her real name is something else. It didn't say Classy. What did it say her name was on the passport? It was something. I don't remember. It was dark that morning. I only remember her face on the photo. Villiers. There it is again, the strange neurological state he's sometimes in. Did you continue watching her after this? I did. She had a face like an archipelago and those birthmarks, and a body, hard and lean and bruised all over, black and yellow. I could see she's taken a beating. I could see who she was, too, A spook on the run. Rivershoal's the cloaca of capital now. All the bagmen and arms dealers end up here to do drugs and have sex like animals. You could tell she was a spook from the documents. She had different color hair on the photo, and glasses. Forged. Some solid bourgeoisie affair. I've heard about this kind of thing on the radio. The bruises. You can't make that out on a scope. And you could see her bruises through the scope of a rifle? You can't see bruises through a scope. It's just a blur. There we go. So it was him. He did go and watch her through the peephole. Any chance you've seen them through a hole in a wall? Oh, yes. Cutting those drugs of hers into little lines with a knife, masturbating. Did you make that hole? With a clip-point knife. Good for listening in, too. Hearing the moaning and snorts. Wait, why can't I also ever seen her through a window on a roof? Yes, like that, too. Okay, so, alright, here we go. You've been through the secret route in the Whirling in Rags. Those were your footprints there. You just changed shoes. I've been through all of Martinaise, every nook and cranny. And that too. Yes, and that too. The things they did in that little room, what she'd do to feel good. Funny the way light works. You turn it on inside and it gets so dark out you can't see a man looking in. I learned that in the 20s when they were still hunting me. Too much talking. Even though I should have come to expect that. That's all we do in this game, is read. And it's almost... I had thought I was going to finish today, but it's been over 2 hours and we're still talking to this one guy. Those two took the cake. You hear the familiar scribble of the lieutenant's pen. A quick glance at you. One more loose end down. We're doing this, detective. Okay, so I guess we're saying Classy didn't, hire him then, but she could tell from where the bullet hole was where the shot must have come from. Okay. That was why she had the string there. How did you get in there? The hidden pinball workshop. I can just walk in the hostel now, after a good wash. They all think I'm an antisocial, a vagrant. Closing hour is a good time. The kitchen's empty then. You had to open the steel door in the kitchen? How? I got that open a long time ago. Some bourgeoisie game merchant lived there, 15 years ago. He left spare keys all over, and I took one. Then I saw her turn the light on one night in my scope. And he found a use for it, a spare key, like the one hanging behind the union box. It wasn't about him, it was about her. Her. He repeats, staring at the ashes, then the reeds. There's a twitch in the corner of his eye. We have it. Where is she, that Classy? I haven't seen her for days. I like lying. We arrested her. Locked up with your masters, like I'll be. Maybe we'll meet. She kept staring into the scope, in the end, like she knew. Staring at the island, the fort, like she knew I was here. Doesn't matter. Midtown, across the bay of Revachol, the oceanic wind washes 40-story towers. Above them, Lausanne Central Aerodome. A cocoon suspended in the sky by a web of suspension wiring, encircled by hybrid aircraft. On the platform, a young woman is withdrawing from amphetamines, barbiturates, and alcohol. Yet still she smiles among the crowd. Among the great ghost of the city she's leaving for another, far south. Smaller, distant, hidden. Not like the great chandelier she sees sparkle in the spring air below her. Streets and towers, tenements and water, and across it, a dark strip of ruins barely visible if she didn't squint her eyes. There, on the dilapidated jetty in a nameless village, 2 police officers and 1 special consultant look across a narrow strip of sea. The ruins of a sea fort stick out of the water, built by Philippe II, reappropriated by the Commune, then lost in the landing. So are we... I wonder if we're... Like, everything that we get out of him, this is going to end with them running up and just shooting him or something. He's there doing what exactly, I don't know. A satellite officer, Vic Mayer, points at the ruins. Behind that anti-aircraft something. That's why we can't see him. Special Consultant Heidelstein is optimistic. We'll see the boat when he comes. Let's go get a coffee until then. I know this interesting little place. His voice trails off as the three walk down the jetty. As the men go, Patrol Officer Minot looks back over her shoulder at the crumbling fortification like a rotten tooth rising out of the water. We could get more, the lieutenant uses the opportunity to tell you in a lowered voice. We've got him talking. Who knows what he's seen and done over the years? Anything else we should know about? A tragic comedy. Druggies, prostitutes, and rentiers. A strange little engine seems to fire up in him again. It straightens his back. The familiar put-put-put of hatred. More specifically? Specifically, the whole city is a charnel house, stripped clean and draped in neon, but Martinez is the worst. Because of the racists. Everyone is a racist in Martinez. It's their favorite thing to do in the whole world, listening to race-themed radio shows in the ruins, in their lorries. Pumped full of steroids and Radio Revachol 92. Race this, race that. It's all sanctioned by that Social Democratic Union and the farce of a social democrat who runs it. Mr. Clare? Yes, the fly larva in his container. He let some nihilistic advertising yuppies erect a statue of Philippe III, a syphilitic murderer on the town square, to spit on the working class. Not since the serfs of the ancient Paracarnassus has history produced a more inert social class than the Martinez proletariat. The rest of Revachol at least pretends to rebuild. These people still live in ruins. In tents, like animals. He points to the church, like those boom-boom morons on the ice. A pity they didn't drown in that tent of theirs. He keeps shaking his head with sorrow for the sight he missed. Not all. The worst of them is the blood-drenched Socreant on her yacht, licking her lips. The old whore is gone now. Her gun-toting porcelain men are dead. So actually, no. The worst is that old cock parading around his uniform throwing balls all day. It's not enough that the racists and liberals are dancing on our graves. The old loyalist ghouls still parade the ruins too. Every morning he's there, while the parasites he fought to protect are off in Ozan or Croyant Moraine, or some other island they've built their palaces on, feeding on drugs and having sex with their own children. That's all the rich really want. Sex with their own children. Throughout history, even the royal bloodline of the suzerain, it's all just an excuse for them to have sordid sex. At least Frissel is now dead. We did good when we pushed him under that horse car. If only, in the 30s, those disco whores... What follows is ominous mumbling. You cannot make out a single word. The disco whores are too much. Hatred shuts down his brain's language center, leaving only a nonsensical sputter. There was something about a statue and nihilistic advertising agency people? And Joyce. Boom, boom, morons on thin ice going under. Those are the tent kids. Statue? The statue is an abomination. The bacteria entered his brain and made him squander trillions on sparkling wine, cocainum, and monuments of himself. His son, Philippe IV the Insane, contracted syphilis in the womb. He breathes in a wheeze of hatred. That is technically possible, although Philippe III was not actually syphilitic. He was just mad. And he still went on to govern Revachol for 25 years. We lost 2 million lives toppling that mode of government, and those grotesque statues, too. Hundreds of them. But it's still there. What a keen remark. Yes, it is, isn't it? It's still there. Do you know why? his cynical advertising up, he's erected a deconstructed version of it. That's right. Some advertising cockroaches erected a cynical deconstruction of it. We tore it down with honest working class plastic explosives, and there it is again. Art is a bourgeoisie establishment. It's an affront to humanity. Every gallery should be bulldozed, and the artists should all be given 30 years of hard labor in Yekokata. The bullet hole in Philippe's heart. The statue had been shot. That was him. We're gonna solve the murder of who shot the statue. It had to be. You shot the statue. There was a bullet hole in his heart. I did. A needless, sentimental gesture. I should have spared the bullet for a deformed monster of liberal capitalism. Shameful, really. Yes, shameful. So many others to punish over the years. Isn't that right, detective? The fat union man let them put it there. Corrupt as he is, probably got a fat check for it, too. Shared with the law. You mentioned the union. Another hideous disappointment. Unions are the real enemy, the true enemy of the proletariat, placating the masses. I don't know, like, there's so much here. I'm kind of ready to wrap it up, like, in hopes of being able to finish in the next, 30, 40 minutes. Disappointment. He displays a familiarity with the Union's top brass. Who, Everard Clare? That deformed toad? I wouldn't expect him to wipe his own ass. I meant the brains of the operation, the smart one. Edgar? The old man chortles with a nod. He talks a big game about uprising and social base. They must have sent the smart one to some university in Le Jardin where it's alienation this and hegemony that. You've talked to Edgar? First against the wall with him. He stopped poking at the ash now. The Clares wouldn't miss a man hidden in their own backyard. Not all this time. Nothing happens in Martinique without them knowing. Maybe the Clares asked him to. Did you kill him for the Clares? To incite a riot? You know why I killed that fucker. As to Edgar, I'm not doing anything for that swine again. Again? What have you done for Edgar before? Tried teaching him some Mazovian socioeconomics. They didn't stick. We parted ways. This is the guy who's creating the holes of nothingness in reality. I'm still waiting. I'm still waiting for him to pull off. He didn't do it for the hangman, but he's insinuating something which we're going to logic. Ba-doom, roll at 9. 20 years ago when you met Edgar, the Clares didn't run the Union yet, did they? I like the connection comes to you like a splash of cold water. He acknowledges it. A twist behind the dark bend. Who did run the... That's right! Oh! The guy who disappeared. That bourgeoisie cow. Tiffane Holly was her name. Licked the rich man's hand every time he came to town. Never seen a labor leader so hot on mutual cooperation. And money. She liked that too. That Holly was a real bridge builder and deal maker. And then she just disappeared. Well, we'll say this. She was also a woman, wasn't she? She was real soft on those money men. Had a Barbara Muscova bag over her shoulder that she liked to bring to work. And then she just disappeared. Called in, they say, on the eve of battle. Ran away. Vanished like a piss stain. He squints and smiles at the black logs. That's not quite it, is it? Did she? They say her daughter called in. Not her personally, but that wasn't really her daughter, was it? No, I guess it was not. Edgar had someone make the call. Why is that, Mr. Dross? She couldn't make the call herself. Here it is, the bend in the river. Why? Because she was dead. The cow caught a bullet in her right lung. Fell into the canal, grasping her tit and drowned. Or bled, hard to say. It was a sloppy job and a moving target. She was going home, waddling, dressed in yellow, drunk like she often was. The ruins were black around her, and she had a yellow leather bag under her arm. She tried to cross the canal. Heading home to the Grand Couronne or Betancourt, someplace like that, where they build those new battlements for people who flourish in the hell around her. And the ruins. You shot her. Someone shot her. He shrugs. His eyes grow cold suddenly. Or maybe the cow just fell. My memory's full of holes. All I know is nothing changed. Not in the material base, not in the hegemony. There was no uprising. Just words. The Union fizzled, sogged. Nothing came of it. Nothing. Edgar didn't keep his part of the deal. If you were to testify to this, give the RCM something on Edgar, you could walk. The lieutenant says in a voice even calmer, as if it were nothing at all. We would strike everything you've done and process you as a POW. You were in a war. You were on assignment. We could even extradite you to the Samaran People's Republic. A degenerate worker state? Goat shit? No thank you. I'm Revacholian. My days are short. I will rot away here, in a moral intern cell. I will not testify to anything. His memory is full of holes. His brain is the Pale. Of course, he shot the church. That's why it's a 446 millimeter hole. Secret task complete. What happened to the previous foreman? All you know, as I saw it happen, and I liked it. I liked it a lot. Her plump body bobbing up and down in that canal like a cork. That chick yellow bag still on her, strangling her. Cold black coals look at the canal, then at you. Blink. There is plenty here to work with once he's in custody, and the lieutenant knows it. He gives you a little nod to proceed. Oh yeah, I mean, they've been doing that the whole game, but yeah. Alright. Alright, let's leave it at that and tell him he's under arrest. What? The old man's eyes fill with sudden, unexpected terror at the words. But you said I would be taken to the sum of all the erratic movements, fidgeting, and mood swings he's been exhibiting. The wind picks up. The silence on the water is broken all around you. Little shivers of waves appear. The lieutenant continues, like an incantation. Your wayfarer rights have been suspended. Information provided to the officers on the scene will be used against you by the prosecution. You will be given legal counsel within 1 week and must face court in 44 days. Do you understand? Do you understand? But... Kim, he's afraid. No, I don't want to. I have to stay here. He looks at the reeds, eyes submerged in growing terror. He's sweating. Beads are forming on his forehead. Your confirmation is not required, sir. The lieutenant turns to you. Now, on to the boat. Does it have room for 3? Not really. We could escort him to the pier, then either one of us can take him inland while the other stays here, but... It's not a problem. This is a problem. Who watches over him while I come back for you? What is this farce? Did I miss my chance? It said first say. No, it's too late. This is a fucking farce. I can't... Oh, nope, wait, there we go. Legendary hearing roll. And yeah, of course, the wolf, the sheep, and the grain, or whatever it is, the goat. I don't want to miss my chance to get this roll. I'm gonna do it. What am I trying to hear him say? Oh, you thought you heard something. It was just the reeds. Ugh. Netpicker is no harmless old man. This fucking world. He stares at something, who knows what, in the dust. What? This world. What is this? He was going to tell me what the world is, and I couldn't hear him because of the reeds? Below the confusion and rage, a fit of jamais vu, like yours? The thought passes. More pressing matters take its place. listen. Listen now. Perception, you failed me. Don't be mad. We could all fit in a little boat? No, actually. You can come back for me once you've taken him to the precinct. No, it would take a whole day on this island. You go and transport the prisoner. I'll be here. I can escort him to the pier with you. I'll do it. This world. This world. What are you talking about? Is this us? The wind is cold from the east. Your skin is crawling suddenly.